Hello and welcome to today's program. I'm Hoddy with iDevices and I'll be your moderator for today's discussion. We're excited to be able to pull in experts from four of the leading smart home companies supplying the home building industry today. We'll be tackling the topic of making smart home work for home builders. For those of you that have questions during today's webinar, please feel free to enter them into the question box. And if time allows, we'll get to these at the end. If not, I'll follow up afterwards with a reply. With that, let's meet our panel for today's discussion. I'm Hoddy, Director of Sales for iDevices.
Hi, I'm Pete Hollenhorst, and I work as the Regional Manager for eero.
Hello, I'm Todd Towey, National Account Manager for Ring.
Hello, my name is bob.escudero. I'm National Builder Manager for Kwikset Door Locks.
Great, thanks everybody. Now for today's agenda. Obviously, we're here to have a discussion about why and how builders should approach smart home implementation. We'll also delve a little deeper into platform strategies, home buyer experience and preferences, as well as operations and implementation. But first, let's ask, why build a smart home? What is a smart home? Where is the smart home industry going? And what are others doing? Several prominent reports from companies like Berg Insight found nearly half the American housing market will be considered smart in the next 3 years. So essentially what we're seeing is smart home adoption rates are predicted to continue to climb rapidly, reaching the 50% mark by 2024. And that's important because that's the entry point of maturity for an emerging industry. For home building specifically, a Farnsworth Group study revealed that 66% of home builders that are offering smart home technology offer it as a standard. Another study showed that 40% of broadband households say a move-in ready home is one that has smart home technology already installed. So this is important when you're differentiating yourself from resale. So why build a smart home? One, your competitors are doing it. Secondly, home buyers prefer it and expect it. Now let's talk a little bit about platform strategy, which seems to be a stumbling block for some smart home companies that are, and for some home builders that are implementing a smart home program. I'll start with a question for Pete. When a builder is considering offering or updating a smart home program, what do they need to know about what home buyers are looking for?
Well, you know, Brian, I appreciate you having us, and welcome to all the attendees that are out there. You know, the slide in front of us talks quite a bit about what's going on. You're seeing today that 64% of respondents say that, you know, they want products, or, you know, they're working with a smart speaker that they own. Even on the low side at 56%, you know, you're finding that your customers that are looking at homes right now, or potential home buyers, are working with many different types of smart products that are out there. You know, voice assistants really are the center of the smart home that come through. But at the end of the day, what powers all of this is that Wi-Fi really becomes the central nervous system of the home. Customers come into a new home and expect that expect it just to work. Think back to your experiences, you know, not more than 60 days ago, you know, and compare it to what Wi-Fi is, what you're asking Wi-Fi to do today inside your home. You know, at 60 days ago, we relied on Wi-Fi for interoperability with smart speakers. Today, you know, my upload, you know, at least 10 hours a day, you know, my paycheck is determined by the upload in working from home. But if you take a look at the icons that are on screen, you know, so much of our lives, whether we're talking about a thermostat, whether we're talking about streaming capability, whether we're talking about HVAC, the list goes on and on about that. And Wi-Fi really becomes the central nervous system to the smart home builder experience that's out there. Without good Wi-Fi, none of this is going to work.
Right, it kind of touches on that decentralized aspect of smart home technology, right? There are a lot of different devices that people are using for part of that smart home experience. It's also worth noting that, you know, to touch on your comment about interoperability, how devices work together is important. And Apple, Google, and Amazon are all teaming up to develop an open source standard that's meant to ensure that devices work together. So it's certainly important to consider all that as you're delving into smart home technology. One important consideration for smart technology also is future proofing. We've seen some hub systems become obsolete or be replaced by newer ones. Bob, Kwikset has been a player in the smart deadbolt space for some time. What were some of the reasons behind the launch of your new Wi-Fi based smart deadbolts, Halo?
Thanks, Brian. A lot of it by Kwikset was because of really convenience and cost. We've had Z-Wave and Bluetooth products out there, but they always required some type of back end of hub or a gateway of some sort to actually operate the lock remotely and have full functionality over it. I think with the Wi-Fi, it's the ease of use, the connectivity piece of it. The homeowner only has to do is just download the app, connect it to their internet, and then they have a smart lock up and running, and then they can use it remotely as well. Where in the past, there was a lot of wires going to and from hubs and routers of those sorts. And then the cost piece of it, you no longer have the cost of the added expense of having a hub to make that communicate. With Wi-Fi, it just makes it a lot easier to download the app, connect it to your internet, and like I said, you're full functional with the application with the Kwikset Halo.
Yeah, and sometimes you lose some of that functionality when you're going through a hub or an app that is maybe not from the actual manufacturer themselves. So let's take a little time to discuss the homebuyer experience. Obviously, that's very important. And when you consider how they are using smart technology, why they're using smart technology, and how much they're willing to pay for it. So, Todd, I've got a question for you. A lot of builders are convinced that the products they offer have to all be controlled in one app or on one product. But what can we really tell about consumer usage data that tells us about how they value the importance of a one app solution or a one product solution? And what do we know about how home buyers control their smart home products today?
Hey, thanks, Brian. The consumers today are looking for a seamless integration throughout all of their smart home devices, right? So whether it's on their smartphone and a single app, and on the slide right here at 35%, looking for on a voice on a smartphone, certainly, as well as on the voiceover for the smart speaker. And with Ring and our app, we can control all of that seamlessly, whether it's in a speaker voice control with the Alexa platform, or certainly within our app, and the ability then to do seamless integration with multiple Ring devices within that app. So doorbells and floodlight cameras, multiple ways of controlling Ring is what customers are looking for.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting to note that the use of smart speakers has actually doubled in the last couple of years. So certainly that trajectory is heading upwards, and it shouldn't come as a shock, but the same survey we're looking at now also found that physically touching the device to control it occurred less than voice or app control. So given our conversation about smart technology, I think that would be an obvious outcome. Here's an interesting fact. Among smart devices owners, the number of devices owned doubled from 2016 to 2018. So for every Roomba or smart TV out there, we might also find a handful of smart egg trays or pet feeders. Pete, given this information, how important is it for a home builder to consider which smart products a home buyer might already own when creating or updating the smart home program?
Brian, it's a fantastic question. One of the things that I like to think about is just, what do you already own that's out there? I was incredibly amazed when we took a look at just voice assistant ownership. Right now, there's over 30 million different Roombas that are being sold. You take a look at one of the more popular Alexa devices that's out in the market, and this may blow you away. One of the more popular Alexa devices right now is the smart microwave that's there. And I can tell you on a Saturday night, if I'm watching a movie, the ability to have some popcorn ready to go for me is huge. That's out there. But each home buyer at the end of the day is going to have their own unique blend of products that they want to be able to use that's out there. So when we're thinking about Wi-Fi, when we're thinking about smart home, we want to embrace things that are agnostic, or more importantly, that are open to a variety of the different needs that customers have that are out. Whether it's a smart pet feeder like we're talking about, or I think pretty much the Roomba is becoming ubiquitous throughout homes that are out there.
Right, and as you guys saw in the opening pictures, I don't have much need for that smart hairbrush, but certainly have a lot of other products. You really can't look at this in a vacuum anymore. and look at it as it relates to just what you're providing in that home as a home builder. Todd, what are the biggest considerations as it relates to including smart technology as a home builder? It's a matter of what a home buyer is willing to pay. Why do you think we're seeing a huge customer migration to standalone products like Ring as opposed to hub-based or fee-for-service plans? And what does this mean for home builders as they consider what they should offer?
No, that is a real good question. Is what's the perceived value that all these smart devices bring to the great experience within the home? And I think that's something that Ring is certainly looked at as far as when we talk about integration with all the various platforms in which we work with. But it does bring up an interesting point about millennials and how much they're willing to spend. And I just use our alarm as an example for that. We certainly want home builders to continue to offer their alarms that they currently do today. But I think Ring fits in that sense of the ability to sort of maximize, each monthly fee, right? So our, $3 a month per device or $30 a year, and then you could do a whole alarm system for $10 a month or $100 a year. Sort of that good, better, and best mentality that people are looking for to give them options. And that's what home builders, that's what Ring thinks with home builders is that give options, right? So let millennials or let the home consumer pick what's right for them. And I think that's what Ring's tried to accomplish.
Right. And what's great about the Ring program is obviously it starts at no cost and goes up from there. So you give a buyer options without obligating them to a monthly fee whenever an introductory period might expire. One of the topics we've often been asked about is which products should be offered. Which one should a builder put into their smart home program, and which ones are most popular with prospective home buyers? So, Bob, when you take a look at recent studies from NAHB and others, they indicate that convenience, security, and energy efficiency are three of the top reasons home buyers choose smart technology. So if you're a home builder, how can you create a program centered around those home buyer preferences?
I think with the package that you're talking about, it's usually pretty simple when you're looking at, hey, people want to be able to secure their house. So with the locks is important, and the lights and thermostats, those are all three things that they're touching each and every day and like to manage. So I think once they get that first experience, then they can build upon other things, irrigation, garage door openers, things like that, to really manage the entire ecosystem of their own home. But obviously, it all starts with that first simple package and just getting them really acquainted with the smart technology that they have in their home, and then building from that.
Right. A lot of the products that are represented on this webinar today, right, provide convenience for those home buyers. Certainly security with Ring and Kwikset, and even our products at iDevices to some extent. Making sure you're coming into a well-lit home or enhancing automations that can make it look like somebody's home when you're away on vacation. But these are all important things, and when you're looking at these categories, focus on what's important to the home buyers. Our friends at eero always say a smart home is great as long as it doesn't sidetrack your core business. And what you're seeing in today's social distancing environment is that smart technology can actually help facilitate how builders are able to maintain their core business, which is obviously selling, building, and closing homes. Todd, Ring has some great tools that can facilitate social distancing buyer access to model homes and interaction with sales agents. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. So at Ring, we've definitely started to see a trend towards people looking at homes and inventory homes or in their model homes, but specifically on the inventory homes where Ring would have a video doorbell that the potential home buyers would press. That would then give access to a home builder's a sales associate. Hey, welcome. They could welcome you through in and get you into the house. Then with Ring and our ability to integrate with the Alexa devices, potentially an Alexa show or something of that nature, where they then would be able to have a conversation with the potential buyers. Hey, welcome. This home is 2,500 square feet, 4 bedrooms, 3 bath. Go over the details of it, and then actually have have a self-guided tour where no associate is actually in the property with them, so it limits the contact there. And then at the end, kind of ensure that any questions that they could answer, again, done all remotely. And then as the camera leaves, they would set the motion off. You would be able to see the potential buyers then exit the property and leave. Again, it just gives the home builder a chance to show homes in sort of this contactless environment, as well as then, on through as well. If they don't have an associate, it gives them, again, just the potential buyers to schedule times to see the home at more opportune times for the actual consumer.
Yeah, right. I mean, certainly everybody's struggling right now to maintain their business operations, and being able to make prospective buyers feel comfortable and give them a way to enter those homes is important. Bob, your smart deadbolts have been a pretty valuable tool for builders, enabling them to continue showing and selling homes. Talk a little bit about how that's working, and could this become commonplace once normal life resumes?
I think it will become commonplace. You think about all the different applications, the features and benefits that are associated with it, with the lock itself, and just being able to manage and secure the model homes or inventory homes through a Wi-Fi enabled product with internet connectivity. You can schedule times for the lock to unlock this for certain people, assign codes, manage those codes, and at the same time getting real-time updates as to when that lock has been locked or unlocked. So you can either manage it remotely or on site, but it definitely gives you a lot of leeway to be able to allow potential home buyers to visit a home without you having to be there.
Right, and certainly there are a lot of people right now that either want to look at a model home when they can do so without a sales agent present. They may want to do it when there aren't going to be others present, social distancing. And sometimes it's just a matter of scheduling, right? Working around their work schedules, or when they have childcare and other things that make it important to be able to access those model homes or inventory homes outside of normal business hours. We're actually seeing some builders implement these sorts of strategies already, like our partners over at Shea Homes, and our Instinct product, which is a smart light switch that has Alexa built in, can actually be programmed to deliver custom marketing content that is specific to that builder's communities or floor plans. So it adds a wow factor. It enables social distancing, and just as importantly, it can't easily be removed since it's installed on the wall. So there are a lot of great tools out there today that can allow you to reach your buyers, allow them to tour your model homes, and ultimately enable you to close sales. Of course, any sort of building material product comes with a cost, and if implemented well, smart technology will certainly have a considerable effect on home sales and home buyer satisfaction. Pete, what are some of the components of cost that a builder should consider, and how could it impact both the home buyers and their brand?
Brian, it's something that we give a lot of thought to, at eero. And one of the big things should be, that the platform should be agnostic. You've got a lot of different customers that are coming through. We want to make sure that the cost of entry is, what we call that barrier to entry, that the cost of entry is the focus. From a builder perspective, you want to take a look at how much this total investment for smart home is, and where that money could be better applied. I think that's one of the great aspects when we talk about Wi-Fi and smart home that's out there, is that you're getting that ease of implementation. We're talking about a very small SKU set that comes in, and more importantly, you're able to utilize the existing trades that the builders are working with. You want to offer either a very standard or more importantly, a simple installation. And then from the home buyer, you want products that are going to maintain, stuff that is that has a longer runway and a proven runway that's out there, as opposed to subscription-based programs that are out there. The trip to charge, to update, that's out there. And then the monthly fee. It's one of the reasons why I love the value add that like a Ring product gives when combined with eero. I mean, we both have a very simple setup in terms of deployment that goes on one password. Once you're working with eero, one password with Ring or any Amazon devices automatically populates. But that monthly fee structure from Ring makes a big difference that's out there. You know, for $100 a year, you know, we're able to do quite a bit. And then the bigger question that I have, and it's actually very personal to me, is what does that do for your brand as a builder? If you lose remote access, we came into a house and, you know, 3 years later, the alarm company that they had installed no longer serviced the panel, no longer offered any additional services that were out there. What happens if you choose to stop paying monthly fees? What happens if the initial, after the initial introductory period that's out there, it leaves with a negative experience? But the biggest thing just across is just, the platform should be agnostic, and we should focus on the cost of entry that's out there. I think those are the primary deals.
Right, and not just the cost of entry for the home builder, but also those costs for the home buyer at the end of the day. Thank you. And with that, I want to sincerely thank all of you that joined us today. Andrew, how are we on time?
We've got a few minutes to actually take a couple questions. We have a great question from Mark with Walters Wholesale Electric. He asks, will there be a single interface app that can control all smart devices? And will there be a limitation on how many devices it can control?
Well, that's a great question. I think that you've got a number of options when it comes to a single app solution. And what we talk about often at iDevices is utilizing the app that is controlling your voice assistant. Obviously, most smart products have either an Alexa skill or a Google Assistant skill. Most of them have both. And that's a great aggregator for a lot of the smart technology that's out there, and can give you remote access to those products, as well as voice control over those products. Ultimately, it's all about allowing those buyers to interact with the products that they own using what they want to, right? They're either Alexa, Siri, or Google Assistant fans. And much like you wouldn't want to take an iPhone user and try to convince them to use an Android or vice versa, I think that people have alliances to their technology for obvious reasons, right? I use iTunes, so I've used a lot of Apple products because all my music and all my movies are there. Amazon Prime is certainly a very popular service as well for both music and entertainment. So looking down the road, we all know that Amazon, Google, and Apple are all working on an open source solution for this. So I think that over time, it'll be easier to tie a lot of these very different technologies together.
Great. And then we have another question from another Mark. Thanks for this question, Mark. Do you see an increase in interest or actual utilization in the multifamily housing industry, either through renovation or new build?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. As a matter of fact, that's one of our fastest growing segments right now. Just like single family home builders are trying to differentiate themselves from others, I think that multifamily properties are obviously trying to achieve the same thing. And it's crazy. In some cases, you can have a 5-year-old property, which certainly isn't that old. But if you're competing with a newer asset that's down the street and offers some of these things, how can you update your property to allow it to compete from a technology standpoint? So I think that what's great about a lot of the products that we're talking about on this webinar today is you can do it as you go. You don't have to make a huge investment in that technology up front. You can do this without obligating your residents to pay monthly fees or to charge monthly fees. And I think overall, when you take a look at the ROI and NOI on adding these sorts of smart products to multifamily, it's an absolute no-brainer with a payoff period of often less than 12 months.
Great. And then we have a couple comments from Scott and Dixie saying, great presentation, great session. We have another comment or question from Tommy this is specific for eero and Ring. Do you have any large builders that have issues with how to get the product to the homeowner without being stolen? He says Ring won't have internet hooked up, which means it can be stolen easily. Same with eero, with it needing internet. How do builders put this in or distribute it safely?
Todd?
Yeah, on the Ring side, I'll jump in. That is a concern of ours, and we have worked with our large builders and other builders as well, is to try and set the schedule to have the actual Ring product installed just before the homeowner moves in. The more that the house sits sort of empty without without having sort of security into it, the more likelihood that that is a possibility. Ring does have a program that is a lifetime protection of theft product. So if indeed a product is ever stolen, we're able to replace that at no charge. If you work with your local police department to have a police report, we then will replace that at no charge. Having said that, we have a plan, but the reality is, as a homeowner, do you really want to move in and wait a minute, my doorbell just got stolen? So we want the experience we're trying to explain in the standard operating procedures that we've been communicating is try and have that the device, the Ring device, installed as close to the when the homeowner's moving in as possible. But a good question.
And I think that, to kind of touch on what Todd said, that's not unique to Ring. I think you look at the popularity of video doorbells today, there's got to be a solution, whether it's a Ring product or others. That issue isn't necessarily unique to the Ring brand.
We have, I think we have time for one more question here, guys. Do you believe, this is from John, do you believe Zigbee and or Z-Wave have a future in the residential smart home?
I think when you take a look at, existing products that are out there, they can certainly have a future. Those products have been around for a long time. I think one of the important things, no matter what the sort of communication or radio within that device is you've got to find a way to make it agnostic. So I think a lot of the developments that are forthcoming from the likes of Apple and Amazon and Google will certainly be exciting. Ultimately, what you want to look for is something that's agnostic and gives you the ability to offer a solution to home buyers that allows them to use whatever they want to control their smart products, right? Whether that's a smartphone, whether that's a voice assistant, or whether that's an app. And that gives you that sort of flexibility. And often, by eliminating, though, that Zigbee or Z-Wave hub, you're also giving a solution that, as a home builder, gives you a lower cost of entry while still providing that flexibility that the home buyer is going to want at the end of the day.
Great. And then we had one more, I think, question I just wanted to point out. Glenn asked, will the webinar be sent out or be able to share later? And I could just say that's a quick yes, but Brian, if you want to elaborate.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll have a recording of the webinar and it can be found. I think we'll have that posted on the LinkedIn pages for each of our respective companies. And I know at iDevices we'll have that on our website as well. And I suspect the others will too. So there will be a way to get a recording of this and have it available. And obviously, if you'd like to learn more from any one of us, our contact information is displayed on the screen right now. So with that, thank you all for attending today. I'll, in closing, ask each of our panelists for a comment about why home builders should be investing in smart home technology. And I'll get us started with a comment from a guy I've known for a long time and respect immensely, and that's Dan Breidelman from KB Home. He said, "We no longer question whether technology will add value to a home sale price or whether it is profitable, but how these technologies can evolve to meet the needs of home buyers." And I thought that summed things up perfectly. Pete?
We continue to think that right now Wi-Fi becomes the central nervous system of the home at eero. Part of that's because we do Wi-Fi, but part of it is because you look at the panelists that have been on this. The great products from iDevices, Kwikset, Ring, all depend on really good Wi-Fi, and it's a good partnership. All the brands that you see here are brands that work well together. We're just happy to provide a platform that makes and ties all these great products together. But I'd encourage you strongly, if you're not doing smart home or you're not working with one of the partners that you see here on the call, there's huge opportunities here. There's a lot of runway with all brands.
Bob?
I couldn't agree with you more. You think about the convenience factor behind everything, all these products, it just makes your life so much more convenient. You think about not having to touch anything, and you think about your vehicle where it's Bluetooth enabled, it's touch to open, touch to start and stop, and now with your locks and voice activation, everything that you can just do pretty seamlessly and conveniently. I think that speaks a lot to a new home buyer, even an existing home buyer that's used to the smart products.
Todd?
Yeah, no, with Ring and our mission to make neighborhoods safer and helping builders build not just a home, but a community, right? And strengthening the sense of community with our neighbors app, and allows our neighbors to look out for one another. It's sort of a neighborhood watch for a digital age that allows, again, communities to build, strengthening the community in that. And I think that helps builders and communities across the country. So that's what I would end with.
Absolutely. Again, thank you everybody for joining today. If you have a question that we did not get to, we will try to cull those, and to the extent that we can, make sure that we follow up with a response directly to you. Thank you again, and have a great day.